An Austrian monk called Gregor Mendel used pea plants to discover the laws of inheritance. This was long before anything was known about the structure of DNA or genes. So in the 19th century, his work was largely misunderstood, but today he's known as the father of genetics. So let's learn about his laws. In the last video, we learned a lot of the keywords needed to understand inheritance. Now we know how alleles work, we can use them to predict the genotypes and phenotypes of children or offspring. Let's look at eye color in these parents. The mum's phenotype or physical characteristic is blue eyes, and the dad's phenotype is brown eyes. For the genotype, we need to know which allele is dominant and which is recessive. Remember, you'll be told this or will be able to work it out from the information given. In this situation, the blue eye allele is recessive. So we're going to label it with a lowercase letter, a little b. And so the mum's genotype is little b. The dad has a dominant allele, which gets a capital B. So his genotype is big B, little b. But if they have a child, how do we know what genotype and phenotype it can have? Well, to do this, we're going to use Punnett squares. This is just a genetic diagram, and to start off, it looks a little bit like a noughts and crosses grid. We'll start by splitting up the mum's alleles, because a child only gets half of its genes from its mother. So we split up the little b and the next little b. We'll do the same for the dad, for the same reason that the child gets half its DNA from his dad as well. So we split up the big B, little b. Now we work out the combinations by reading down and across. And we get big B, little b. In the next box, we get another big B, little b. Why not pause and see if you can work out the remaining two boxes? In this one, we get little b, and it's the same in the last box. Great, so now we have all the genotypes. We'll work out the probability of each. You could be asked to give this as a fraction or a percentage, so we'll do both. Okay, so you can see we've got two big B, little b's and two little b's. That means we've got 50% of each, or a half. So we write the letters out, big B, and we do the same for the little b. Now we'll write the phenotypes for each genotype. You need to write them below in the same order, or beside the genotype so it's very obvious. Exam questions will normally structure this for you. So the big B, little b will give you brown eyes, as the brown eye allele is dominant. The little b will give you blue eyes, because you have two recessive alleles. Lastly, you can be asked to give the expected ratio. This is one of the math skills you're required to know for your exam. Since it's both 50%, as a ratio, this is 1:1. Again, you write it in the same order as you've given the phenotypes. If you're studying higher tier, you need to be able to make the Punnett squares yourself. If you're studying foundation, you need to be able to complete one, and the questions will be more structured. I recommend you watch this either way, as it's good practice. Okay, let's read the question. Two smooth pea plants are crossed. They are both heterozygous. Work out the proportions and ratios of the genotypes and phenotypes for this cross. Cross just means they're reproducing together. Pause and grab some paper and try and work it out yourself. Then press play when you're ready to go through it. Okay, so let's start with the parent genotypes. They are both heterozygous, which means they have different alleles. The two alleles we've got are smooth is dominant and wrinkled is recessive. We'll use the letter S. The dominant one gets a capital and the wrinkled one gets a lowercase. It doesn't matter what letter you use, because we haven't been given it. So both parents' genotypes, because they're heterozygous, will be big S, little s. Now we're going to do our cross. So we start by splitting up each parent's genotype into big S, little s. Then we work out the different combinations. If you didn't get to this point, pause anyway and try and fill out the combinations. Okay, so this box will be big S, this is big S, another big S, and two little s's. Notice how I'm really emphasizing the size of the letters. That's important. Okay, now let's write out what offspring genotypes we have. We can see we've got one big S, which is 25%. We've got two big S, little s's, which gives us 50%. And we've got one little s, which is 25%. The question has asked us for the ratios of the genotypes. So if we work it out, we've got 1 to 2 to 1. If you wrote your genotypes in a different order, you may have your ratio in a different order. Just check carefully. Next, we'll work out the offspring phenotypes. Every offspring that has a dominant allele, or a big S, is going to be smooth. But every offspring that has two little s's is going to be wrinkled. We can see that we've got 3 offspring that have got the big dominant S. So 75% are going to be smooth. And that leaves 25% will be wrinkled. Finally, we have to give this as a ratio. And we compare 75 to 25, that's 3 to 1. The last thing we're going to look at is sex inheritance. This person's phenotype is female, and this person's is male. Sex is controlled by an entire chromosome, as opposed to one or multiple genes. In females, the sex chromosomes are XX, and in males, they are XY. We can construct a Punnett square to show the offspring probabilities. Doing this very quickly, we can see that we end up with 2 XX offspring and 2 XY offspring. So the probability is 50% female and 50% male. You have to memorize the sex chromosomes for females and males. One tip I use to help me remember this is that my female friends tend to send me a little kiss kiss, like an XX, at the end of messages, more than my male friends do. Pause and try the quick questions, then press play when you're ready to go through them. 1. What does homozygous mean? This is having 2 of the same alleles. 2a. Complete this Punnett square. We've got big D, big D, big D, little d, big D, big D, and big D, little d. B. Give each possible genotype as a fraction. Well, you can see that we've got half big D, and a half big D, little d. It adds up to 1. C. Give the possible phenotypes as a percentage. So big D is no dimples, and we can see that every possible offspring has a big D. So it is 100% no dimples, and therefore 0% dimples. 4. Write the sex chromosomes of human females. This is XX. Make sure those X's are really obvious. How did you do? Next up, we're learning about inherited disorders. Click here to watch and here to subscribe. Thanks and bye.